Want to introduce you to all of the things we have here at Applied Imaging. You know, the one thing I love about our company is that we have a variety of software solutions to help fit your needs. What we do is we sit down with you, or in this case, a conference call in our current situation, and we'll go over what your needs are and then find the best solution for you. It's not one solution needs to fit everything you need to do. We have a variety. And I'll mention a couple of things. Canon, we have Canon scanners. We're getting a lot of call for those for in-home offices right now, or even in situations where they've got people in the office, they don't want touching paper, they need to scan it in. We can help you on that. But more importantly, coming up at the end of the month, we've got another legal webinar. If there's anybody on your staff who is in that realm, that's coming up. But we also will have things moving forward on AP automation, workflows, electronic forms, contract management, all kinds of things. So keep track of what we have out there, if you would, please. And now I'd like to introduce our teams for the day. If you would, Rich, please. And first, a word from our sponsor. Back it up a little bit. I forgot to mention this last piece here before we do that. Almost forgot. We've got your back. I bet there's some things you don't know about Applied Imaging, possibly. Do you know we have a Shred Hub division? So if you've got documents that are at end of life for your organization, we have people that can come pick those up if you're working from home. We even have secure bags that we can drop off. You can have us pick them up, or you can at the same time drop them at one of our offices. We are open and moving since we're considered a vital part of the workforce. We also have PrintSmart for your managed print services. We also have a group of NetSmart if you need help with IT or anything related to that side of the world. We've got that covered. And of course, backfile conversion. Things are still piling up out there, and they may have been a problem before this, but we actually have a group that can do that for you now, or work with you on helping take care of that, even provide the staff and the financing to go with it. So on to the next, and I will introduce the crowd next, please. Rich, from Applied Imaging, as I said, I'm Mary Martin. I am the event manager, and Jeff Slack, you'll hear from a little bit later in our presentation. He works with the east side of Michigan and into Ohio. Steve Mayer, the west side and into the northern part of Indiana. And from our partner side, the Highland Software, Rich Rowe, you'll be hearing from today as our expert on human resources, but supporting him as well, James Lee and Mike Woods. So I'm going to stop here and kick it off to Rich. Rich, you're up.
All right, thank you so much. So once again, the presentation today is going to be focused on people, not on paperwork, bringing together HR records into a single digital solution. My name once again is Rich Rowe. If you do have any questions throughout this presentation, feel free to toss those into that chat box. I will be stopping at the end and sticking around just to answer any of the questions that you may have. To see what we are going to be getting into today, we are going to be taking a look at OnBase as a platform and how we are going to be able to manage HR on a global level, and touching on all of these points: employee file management integrations, records management and compliance, workflow automation, and policies and procedures. We'll even take a look at some of our case management applications there at the end. But once again, we are trying to take a look at this global approach for human resources. So the first stop on our journey is understanding where OnBase would fit into an HR environment. Taking a look at that employee interaction with software and employee interaction with records, OnBase is going to sit amongst all of these systems. We aren't going to replace your HRIS, we're not going to replace your applicant tracking system, but we're able to serve as a centralized record repository, data repository that helps connect any of these disparate systems into one single solution. As we move through, we are able to take, unstructured content, employee files. We're able to wrap rules and regulations around those pieces of data and documents, and we are able to integrate that in, so serve as a system of record for, all of your processing needs. So let's first talk about employee file management. This is, generally speaking, the first place that we start in an HR environment. So taking our physical employee files and turning them into a single source of truth. When we pop this into OnBase, we are able to interact with our files in a familiar kind of file structure method here, and we're able to organize and keep these records up to date. Now, one of the great things that I like talking about is when we are moving from a physical paper world to a digital file format, one of the things that is kind of going the way of the dodo is that classic 3-drawer file cabinet. One of the statistics that I heard a few years ago is Gartner did a study, and they said the average 3-drawer file cabinet costs organizations $25,000 just to set up. That goes into the paper costs, the man hours, the organizational costs, and all of that time just filing away that paper. And then every year, just to keep that one 3-drawer file cabinet up to date, you're looking at a recurring cost of $5,000. What OnBase is able to do is we're able to step in, and we're able to manage any of that folder structure, any of those documents you might have in your organization, and automatically file those away. So as you can see, I have a file cabinet on the left-hand side for Ashton Anderson. All I have to do is tell OnBase to organize first by my employees and then by different groups of content. So the employment documents has my W-form, direct deposit form, emergency medical information, etc. And we're able to automatically file away those documents. Now, as you can see also in that bottom left-hand corner, we are also smart enough to know when we're expecting information, such as legally required forms, which are particularly pertinent in HR. We're able to run reports or even give this visual indication. For example, our direct deposit form is not found. We also offer quick and secure access through a number of different querying and searching methods. Everything from full text search, actually searching across the data on the page, or the language of, say, a contract, a non-compete, etc., as well as just searching across for maybe all of our documents that are flagged with an employee ID. And now the second part of this is secure. Everything that exists in OnBase is going to be put under granular security. So that way, only those users who should have access to content are going to receive access to that content. And that extends on a very granular level. So beyond just being able to actually making any actions or any other types of interactions are able to be secured down. So that way, you are only having access to what you should. In addition to that, every document that exists in OnBase has a full 360-degree audit log, compiling a complete audit trail. So every action, interaction, view, etc., is going to be tracked back, not only with who viewed it, what they did, the message, and the log date and time. So this is particularly useful when we're talking about audits, which we will talk about in just a few minutes. So as we move through these subjects of access and control, what this means for you is role-based security. We're able to take granular control over every part of the user environment, configure access at the user group level on principle of least privilege, and prevent users from having more access than they should. Now, once again, this is going to expand and is going to be able to integrate directly in with things like Active Directory. So simply by being an HR user in our Active Directory may give you access to particular documents that if I were existing over in sales, I wouldn't have access to it. The second pillar of OnBase is going to be our ability to integrate. With your existing IT systems, your HRIS, applicant tracking system, etc., we are able to integrate directly in to reduce that overall IT sprawl. What I mean by that is gone are the days of needing to log into every single system and update, say, a change of name within an employee file. By entering this into OnBase, your system of record, any of your documents are going to be updated, and then OnBase can do the work of sending out any of those update messages to your HRIS or any of your other HR systems. We're able to also accept information from one system, move it into OnBase, and then provide that information and access to that information from any of your other systems. As you can see, we took that resume over from our applicant tracking system and our information over from our HRIS, connected that back together, and then those users from the ATS can access the full view as well as from the HRIS. We also provide a number of different ways of retrieving information and integrating in with your systems that are already in place. Forgive the very corny looking HRIS system on the left-hand side, because we are fairly agnostic when it comes to integrations. We have to stand up our own kind of blanket HRIS systems. But to give you an example, we are able to very quickly and easily retrieve any of the on-base content or even that folder view we were looking at before. So that way, right from that HRIS, we're simply adding features in a secure manner that's going to be based on your user security to provide access to content that's complementary to what exists in your HRIS. In addition, we also offer a full integration with Microsoft Outlook. For any of you folks that are utilizing that currently, we are able to drop in things like a taskbar, so that way any of your document searching, importing, or even attaching documents to an email can be quickly and easily done from within that taskbar. We kind of jokingly call this our fourth or our fifth client, so that way, you know, any of those features that you come to expect from OnBase as you do start to use it are able to be given to any of your users very quickly and easily right from within a familiar interface. Our next subject and conversation is again around that document and data level control for records management and compliance. First and foremost, let's talk about a subject that is pretty common across at least the states when we talk about I-9 compliance. What OnBase is able to offer are multitudes of methods for searching back to get that content. We are also able to, retrieve that, store that in our system of record as our quote unquote single source of truth. We are also able to run reports to ensure compliance, and that the users who own that process, making sure everybody's up to date, be that a records manager, etc., they're able to be notified at any step of the process to make sure that our users are up to date and we have all of the necessary information about them. We're able to connect any of our systems of record to ensure that, if we do need to submit a new I-9 form after we have that properly filled out, we are able to even just submit that using a form through OnBase. This brings us to our next subject of audits. In the paper-based world, generally speaking, audits are a nightmare. But using a digital record system like OnBase, we do allow an HR department to reduce that prep work, to prep this up, because we are keeping those systems of record up to date. We're able to run any of our reports, exceptions reports, history reports, etc. We're able to eliminate that administrative burden. I recently was working with a client who was telling me a story about the last time they were put under audit. It was a small governmental office, and they said they needed to take 10 of their employees away from their normal tasks just to prep for all of the discovery information that the auditor requested. Once we switched them over to OnBase, we had pre-configured the same types of queries that they were running across all of their systems. By default, we're running every month. They didn't even have to click run. It was immediately given to them in a report structure that they could view first of the month. We're also able to grant access to the system from your auditor. So rather than generating all of those reports, pretty much hand over the keys to the kingdom in a secure manner to your auditor so they can find what they need. And we can help ensure with your participation that 100% of employment documents remain compliant by integrating in your business rules and your retention requirements. And that finally brings me over to document retention. Not only do we need to keep records for, reference and being able to provide to an audit or litigation, we also need to be able to securely destroy those documents when they're no longer needed, and then provide record of why we destroyed them. OnBase offers all of these things. I apologize. Give me just 1 second. I have a screen that popped up, which is freezing my screen sharing.
Not a problem with that. And folks, while
All
Rich
right.
is dealing with that, if there's any questions, don't forget to put them at the bottom, please.
Thank you for that reminder. So as we are moving through this conversation of compliance, we're able to enhance your compliance by doing things like running reports. This is an example of that I-9 report that I was talking about just a moment ago. This report is a moment in time, so it's up to the date of when you're running this report, and we can give it to you in a graphical view. So we can give a breakdown of every employee that's in your system that we have an employee record for, but they're missing that I-9. So we can very quickly sort out by their departments and any of that other information. On the left-hand side, you can see there's a select list just by manager. So that way, if we needed to reach out to Hunter or Frank, we can very quickly and easily say, hey, I'm looking at this report. I see that, you know, these 3 employees of yours need to have their I-9 submitted. Please set up a schedule with them, have them come down, and we can have those submitted. We're also able to support compliance through fully automated records management. From declaration of a record, management, posting an event, and then retaining that record, we are able to support a document through its entire life cycle. I know one of the hot button topics of the last few years has been things like GDPR. With more and more municipalities and countries interacting with structured retention periods like GDPR, we are able to fully support your compliance with that. We are able to provide things like automated record retention, providing certificates of destruction, showing that we did at one point hold this record, but it fell under this retention plan. It entered awaiting approval on this date, and it was destroyed by this user, and even include comments to make sure that we are fully supporting any of your litigation or legal needs for retention. In addition, we are able to place holds on documents. So say there was an audit or litigation that would legally remove a record from destruction, we are able to handle that as well. And all of this is to say we're able to handle all of these features with protection at every step. So not only are we able to support, you know, the storage of these records, we're going to be protecting that while it's at rest under 256 AES encryption, in transit under TLS encryption, and while it's in use for even doing things like masking of data or redaction of data as well. Once again, we are supporting initiatives to provide users with compliance within that GDPR requirements as we do move through and need these records to be brought up to date and brought into compliance. We are able to support you through that journey and provide a compliance system for you. As you can see, the reason we've been touching on so much with security and rights to erasure and all of the compliance processes around is because GDPR is much more than just regulations of when you should and should not have records, but it has a foothold in each one of these steps, from the security of that information, the management and rights around those information, as well as that destruction. Now let's talk for a moment about workflow automation. We've talked so far about pretty much everything with the management of this record, storing this record in a usable format, being able to access any of the information on that record if you are a user who is so empowered. But when we move through any process in a business, and chiefly in HR, we need to be able to automate any of those processes that might handle multiple pieces and parts, multiple users, approval processes, integrations. And OnBase offers a full workflow automation suite to enable not only the use of things like forms, but also, not just image forms, but also forms that would be within governmental control. For example, this is a pay rate and payday form. It cannot be changed by an ECM. It needs to be held in its original format. We are able to support that in a number of different ways. We are also able to, right from within Outlook or within any of our clients, provide tasks for any of our users who exists in an HR process. Everything from approvals and rejections, moving forward in processes, reaching out to external systems using web services, etc. And you can't improve what you can't measure. We are able to provide reports to identify any bottlenecks or other information about a process. As we move forward, we're also able to provide document knowledge transfer through a learning management functionality within OnBase. We're able to manage policy creation through our workflow engine. We're able to notify your employees for any of their central access to any policies that may be newly published or changed from year to year. We're able to support those compliance initiatives with tracking of employee acknowledgement or rejection. We're able to email and produce things like report cards for any of your testing and administration that you are handling through OnBase. In addition to that, we do offer a full case management solution as well. This allows organizations to build relational systems within OnBase to handle any of those kind of complex workflows that might exist that aren't necessarily document-centric. So anything that currently you're tracking on a shared spreadsheet or you're emailing back and forth, you have complex submission and too complex of a process for a traditional workflow. For example, say a management application around HR incident reporting. If we were, needed a whistleblower type of an application to manage any complaints, we're able to handle that in a case management system. This will replace a lot of these things from checklists on paper to antiquated databases and provide secure access. As we're moving through, one of the things that's always top of mind in today's day and age is the spread of COVID-19. So in response to that, our team at Highland Software did create a crisis management case management application. So that way we can have voluntary submission of any, incidences with things like, I need to contact, such and such employees because I was just diagnosed with COVID-19. We're also able to use the same tool set to build out a number of different solutions, such as asset management and tracking, or employee relations. So this way, this same tool set is able to be reconfigured and reused on a point-and-click level to manage not only your HR records, but also any of the developing pieces of this interconnected puzzle. So why choose HR as your project, as your next investment into software? It's so we're able to function, leveraging your existing investments with your HRIS applicant tracking systems or any of your other line of business systems, and build out as needed a global approach to human resources to provide a number of functions and features across an environment. With OnBase, we truly are one platform with unlimited potential, where we are able to provide any number of solutions from employee file management to supporting onboarding and offboarding and employee relations and much, much more. If you do have any further questions, we do have a fully built out product community page, and we do provide access to any of our software. So that way, if you do want to see a demo or see what your process would look like in our software, please feel free to reach out.